some of the recommendations that we found might help to overcome some of those activities, those exhausting activities. So to jump right into it, I'm going to talk a little bit about those tips, but we're going to get cooking as well, right? So the first recipe that I put together, I think this is, for me, anytime you can double up on a breakfast item and have it for lunch or for dinner, I think that saves a lot of time, and I think it's a nice, quick, easy recipe to put together as well. So you may have heard of like omelets and obviously quiches. We're gonna make a frittata today. Has anyone heard of frittata or knows what a frittata is? That's sort of like a crustless quiche. It's an Italian dish. It's a very simple dish to put together, and that's why we chose to prepare it today, to show you how to prepare it today. And one main tip that we're gonna show you when preparing this frittata, and this was something that we use a lot. One of our favorite items is parchment paper. Yeah, who's on the parchment paper kick? Yeah, you know we love using this class. So this is a great tool to use, especially when you're looking to reduce cleanup, right? After you make a dish, you know, that might be even the last bit of your energy. You don't want to be scrubbing eggs out of a pan after. That's no fun. So we're going to show you how to do this. Really, really simple, really easy, and we're going to use parchment paper to actually reduce the amount of cleanup. So we're going to make our frittata in a pan. So the larger the pan, obviously you can make a bigger one. This is a good, maybe for 4 people. This is based on this recipe here. So just a regular sized pan, making sure it's oven proof because we're going to stick it into the oven. That's where it's going to finish cooking. And we're going to take a piece of parchment paper, just a little bit larger than our pan. Okay? Well, and after you take the parchment paper, we're actually run it under water. And what this does is, you can imagine trying to fit a flat piece of paper into that pan. Yeah, it's probably going to pop up. It's not going to work really well. But by running it under water, it becomes a lot more malleable, more flexible. We can actually do more with it. It doesn't break. No. So we're going to squeeze some of that water out, as much of the water as we can. So it's almost like, yeah, looks like someone just blew their nose in this or something. Yeah. Yeah, so wax paper is coated with wax.
So it doesn't work.
You don't want to use it, it'll burn, the wax will burn. So you want to use parchment paper. So see, it's wet, we rinse some of the water out, and see how it's a lot more flexible, a lot more malleable now. I can actually fit it.
It browns though, right?
It will brown, but we're using just a medium heat. Parchment paper, most parchment paper is actually fire tested up to 425 degrees Fahrenheit, some a little bit more. And it'll just start to brown and crumble. Right. It won't, as long as it's over, like, lighting it on fire, it won't catch fire. It'll just brown and crumble. So medium heat, that's all we need for this. So see how it's in the pan? Fits really nice now. Now we can cook everything in here, which is going to make cleanup obviously a lot easier, right?
At least it doesn't stick anywhere.
Exactly, it acts as like a non-stick as well. So to make this recipe, this is a very, very simple, straightforward recipe. I'm going to start off with any vegetables that you have left over. Is a great one for this, even if it's frozen vegetables. So we're going to put a little bit of olive oil, and everything's right into the parchment paper, right? I'm going to keep this pretty simple to onion. And this is just a little red onion. You can use any onion. And we'll just add a few slices. Again, if you had like leftover prep from another meal, that's the great thing about frittata, almost like an omelet. It's a nice carrier for any of your leftover vegetables. So we're gonna put the onion in here. And I'm gonna also, and it takes a little longer, but after about 30 seconds to a minute, you're gonna start, I can already start to hear it sizzling. It'll actually penetrate through the parchment paper.
It's on the stovetop.
It's on the stovetop, yeah. So this is on medium heat, and this is actually starting to brown. It's gonna start to soften the onions, it's gonna start to brown the onions. This is, again, one of My favorite types of kale, you can use any ingredients. I know some people in the audience hate kale. Yeah. But you can use anything, spinach, peppers. And with this black kale, it has a heartier stem. So simply to remove it, and especially because I'm going to be tearing it up, I'm going to be pretty rough with it. I'm just going to roll this up and roughly chop it. Now, this is a little bit of prep. It's not heavy prep, but if this is even a little too tiring, or if you know what, you're not just feeling up to it, that's why I always recommend to have some frozen vegetables in your freezer on standby, because they're a great product to use. They work really well in recipes like this, and they have frozen kale, they have frozen spinach, frozen peppers, even frozen onions. All the prep is done for you. All the washing is done for you. And they're frozen immediately after they're picked, and it's always usually when they're in prime season that they're picked and frozen. So they're always a great product to use as well, especially if the texture isn't going to be a big deal. Like in this, everything's going to soften. And frozen vegetables, they tend to lose their bite a little bit when they're cooked, but for a dish like this, it doesn't really matter. So you can start to hear the onions, right? We're using our senses. The onions are starting to sizzle a little bit. We have some kale in there. Just gonna add a pinch of salt. And then we're gonna go with our eggs. If they're pre-cracked, it saves you a lot of time too. And you can even use the pasteurized carton eggs as well. Those work really, really well. For this, I recommend usually 6 to 8 eggs, depending on the size and depending how sort of fluffy and big you want the egg dish. So here I have 6 good size eggs. And a little trick that I learned from another chef is sometimes you'll see them adding a little bit of milk or a little bit of cream to thin out the eggs and to bulk it up a little bit. For a dish like a frittata, it's almost like a thicker, more substantial egg dish. So if I added milk or cream, it's going to make it pretty thin, right? So this is actually a trick I learned from someone. They added yogurt. And because the yogurt is thicker, we're going to whisk the eggs. You can use a fork, whatever's easiest for you. With the frittata, like a lot of other egg dishes, you want to try to get a little bit of air into it. So that's why it's long, exaggerated whisks. And then we're gonna add about half a cup of this yogurt. A thicker yogurt, like a Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt works really well. And we're just gonna fold that through. Now you wanna get rid of any of the lumps. So just give it a nice whisk. And again, this, you won't taste it too much, but it'll give it this nice richness, almost like you added some cream or something like that. And what's nice about the yogurt is, depending on what you want and your needs, they have their 2%, they have your 1%, 0%. And I find that the Skyer, has anyone heard of Skyer, which is like your Icelandic yogurt? It's a new one that you're starting to see out there, or Greek yogurt. Even at the 0%, it's still nice and thick. Doesn't get too runny, so it's a good product to use.
Comes in a jar like that.
Comes in a tub like this, yeah. It's SKYR. Okay, so there's our eggs, right? You can hear the onions cooking nice. I just want them softened a little bit. I'll give it a quick stir like this. And then we're going to add the eggs right inside. Try to get all of it in there. Now, because this is a bigger dish, you can't cook it entirely on the stovetop just because the bottom will get sort of too dark before it cooks all the way through to the top. So you're gonna wanna preheat the oven to 350 degrees, and then that's where it's gonna finish.
And would you cover it or not?
Nope, that's it, done. So it's as easy as this, finished. I've never tried this before, but I wanted to add something to give it a little bit of a crunch. So I'm throwing some walnuts in there as well. I think walnuts and kale and sort of winter and cold kind of works really well together. So I'm going to throw a few walnuts on top. This is the beauty about it. You can customize it completely to whatever your flavors are at this point. So a few walnuts on top. If you like a little bit of cheese, then this is the time where you can add some. And we usually go with a nice, like a sharper cheese here. So you don't need as much, just a little bit. This one is like a milder Swiss cheese, or so I thought. And then when I was making it yesterday, they could smell it like 2 offices down. So everyone kept running over. But that's it. Walnuts, grated cheese. This goes into the oven for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's gonna puff up really nice, get really nice and golden brown. And you have a gorgeous meal, and you can freeze that after, which is great. You can put it in the refrigerator. You can eat it later. And so I made a bigger one, but this is sort of what you're looking at, right? So it cooks in the parchment, beautiful color on top, and then we talked about cleanup, right? I think that was the first thing that everyone mentioned. So that's the beautiful thing about this is I'm just pulling this right out. Nothing's stuck to the pan, right? It saves you a lot of time.
That is a very good idea.
Right, and it's all done, beautiful, ready to go. And this, like I can show you don't need, like it's a nice dense egg dish that you cut a piece off like the size that you like, and you can see from the side, you got that kale, you got the onions. But yeah, that's our first dish. So winter frittata.